completes the final portion of the work.
And I believe the inside, because it's interior, none of those costs were included in the total building renovation. So the inside of our
included?
window, not included. So the inside of our windows have to be painted, some framing done inside. So we were asking our friends for the money to be able to finish that project because the inside of the windows are in deplorable condition. I'm talking about the frames of the window inside. They need a paint job, they need some scraping, and my friends were hoping to be able to finish the inside of the windows for that project because there were no outside. Those are all interior costs.
No, I mean, I like what she said, which is that it's a Friends initiative. Remember, the problem with the movers was that rainwater was getting in, and that rainwater would infiltrate into the building and cause all types of damage. So it was really critical that we spent our money.
No, I understand that. I didn't know whether it was an oversight and
No.
it wasn't put into the plan, or we just
It wasn't part of the
ran out
plan
of money.
because it was interior.
Right,
If you can do it for $1,700, we can get you that.
Nice try. If I could do it for $1,700, I'd have them doing work in my own house.
The size of those windows, it might be about 2 frames.
Yeah.
So at some point, it would be good to, put forth your ideas on what might be the next investment in that building. I'm not saying it's tomorrow, but, we ought to have it on our list.
Well, we do have our space study that was done a few years ago, and possibly renovating all 3 floors of that building into either a senior center, some part of a community center. It is a beautiful building. Our second floor kitchen is condemned. The hallway inside the building is deplorable, and we have wonderful access even to the basement of the building, and it would be just wonderful to be able to, for the town in general, to utilize that entire building.
There's not an elevator in that building.
No, that would be part of the deal, obviously, because it has to be handicapped accessible, and obviously it's an historical site, but it's all doable. Just needs some funding and money.
Well, that's all.
That's all.
That's all.
Or benefactor.
Or a benefactor. I like that idea.
I had a
You
question.
too.
Sure.
Michael's got a question.
Yeah.
The clerical position,
Mm-hmm.
which contract is that position?
It's under the administrative, the same as town hall.
Same as town, oh, okay.
Not the department head contract, we have a clerical contract.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
call it
Look.
the North Reading Administrative Services Unit, NRAS. You've seen it's the pink contract.
Okay, yeah, it's the pink one, I remember it now. Okay.
Many times referred to as the town hall
Town hall workers,
workers.
they moved on to other things.
How about just a little plug for Mystic Valley, Mary?
Oh, Mystic
And
Valley
the
Elder
services that are
Services, thank
provided.
you, Steve. Mystic Valley Elder Services is the ASAP agency that we actually partnership with to get all our services done. And actually, for the 3rd year in a row, they have not increased our budget. They give us over $640,000 worth of services for mere $2,159 a year. Our elderly population is growing. This year alone, we're up to 64 people who are getting Meals on Wheels, which almost doubled since I've become director. And you can just imagine in this winter, trying to deliver meals to these people in their homes. So they're an invaluable institution to us. They're a great partner to have. And we're very pleased that they're still working with us actually to sponsor our senior housing. So they're just a wonderful organization. Any more questions?
for Mary?
Okay, CDs are available. People at home. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Town clerk?
Tab 24.
We're going to do these on order, Joe. I like that. Keep them close here.
You don't sing and dance,
I
right?
don't sing, I don't dance, you wouldn't want me to either, let me
You
tell
cook?
you. I have no rhythm, that's right. Give me statistics. All right.
Barbara?
Well, the one thing I can say that I bring forward is a lower budget than last year, okay? So that's the good news. The budget that you have funds 2 elections instead of the 3 that were in this year, so that, automatically reduces my budget. And that's basically the major change that you see. Everything else is level services and level funded.
Barbara,
Yep.
there is a possibility, based on the school project, that there could be a special town meeting and a special election. I think you need to identify what those costs are.
Okay,
I don't think at this, we may want to consider that pending where the school building committee's going to be.
if you wanted to go
'Cause
forward
it would
with,
take, as far as everything I've heard, it would take place in the next fiscal year.
okay. If you looked at this current year's budget, you could basically go with the figures for this year, because that's basically what was eliminated, was one election. A town meeting costs, are minimal on my end, the administration.
They're primarily my
Yeah.
costs, and a single-issue town meeting with a small warrant is about $3,500 total.
No, I'm thinking more of the election.
The election costs, you have to base about $10,000 for all the services involved with an election. That's personnel, that's police, that's printing ballots, that's programming the machines. Those are my major costs.
Would that be paid for out of the fund, with the $1 million that was put up to, just a question? You don't know, or saying no?
No, I don't understand your question.
The $1 million was put up for the plans for the school?
As part of that project, could those funds
I think it might be a stretch. We'd have to find out. We'd have to have Joe ping the DOR and see
Yeah.
whether it's legal or not.
There is a connection, so
Yeah, I know. that's
Yeah.
why.
we might get,
Just ask the question.
we
that's
might
Beg
get the
forgiveness.
okay on that.
all. Chuck left already?
Beg forgiveness.
Hopefully.
Yes, go ahead.
This may have been asked before in previous years, since my first year,
Mhm.
just curiosity. Have you been able to, have you seen a documented savings from us consolidating everything into one location?
No, I can't say that I have. It's certainly a much more convenient setup for everybody. The election workers, they can bounce off themselves if there's a shortage in one precinct. We can easily shift personnel there and provide coverage even for breaks and all that. I'm able to spend the majority of the day down in one location now, which is a great benefit as support for the election workers too.
But we haven't
It-
seen like a savings in custodial fees that we didn't have to pay?
We had minimal custodial fees. The only place was at the high school.
Okay.
The church never charges us for custodial services, never has, and the other portion of it was here at Town Hall. So the only place was the school, and basically, they were very good. They only would charge us for the extra hour that we needed the doors open in the morning, okay? So that was very minimal cost.
Very good.
Police details.
Police details really haven't been a big savings. There's been just a minor savings there, but it's been eaten up in the fact that while we don't have to have more than one police officer for every polling location, so now we have 4 precincts in one location, the practicality of it doesn't always work out well. For the November election, we had to have 2 there inside because of the volume of ballots that were being handled and the duties of the officer to watch them. And as the election officers had to empty the machine, the police officer is the one that does that, and he has to be there at each precinct. So he had 1 on each side covering 2 precincts. We also need a detail outside in this location, especially on the busier elections like that election. We had to have 1 on 62 and 1 at the exit of the hall, and as people exited to get to their cars because of the traffic that comes right in front of the exit door, as our setup is, and it's like a blind inset, so that as they step out into the driving path, they're right in the path of the traffic. So we had to have a detail there too. So there's been minimal costs. And the details also are at the discretion of the police chief. If the police chief feels that for all public safety persons, that we have to have more coverage, then we have to bow to that. So there really has not been a tremendous savings there. It does fluctuate with elections, with a state election and a presidential. We'll certainly have the maximum officers that we need. As we go into this town election, we'll have a minimal number, but it does fluctuate.
Not a big draw, I guess, Sean.
Sorry?
It's not going to be a big draw, apparently.
Well, I'm not saying that, you know.
It's
I'm
easier,
not saying
I know
that.
Joe's watching
I'm
at home.
looking
He's
at
probably not happy. He'll be running
historically
down here.
speaking.
Challenge that.
it's easier for the candidates.
Yes, it is. It's much easier for the
Yes.
candidates. They only have one
We have
place
look
to
at
cover
the entire benefit.
that, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
Yes. Now, Barbara, have you, with the costs being a trade-off, based on what you're saying, has it been a lot easier for you as a group, as a functioning unit and so on?
I would say yes, for the reasons that I already mentioned, that the election workers have support among themselves, especially the wardens and clerks that are in charge of each precinct, that I'm able to be there with the, knowledge that I have when they have questions about the process, because the laws do change every year and there are new factors that come into play all the time. Some of the parking has been an issue for, both the workers and the public, the voters, as they come in during the busier elections. And what are some of the other issues? Maybe it does get a little crowded during a busy election. We do have to have a certain number of voting booths up that we're supposed to have for every election, doesn't matter what the volume is. But, certainly when we're getting into the heavier state elections, it can get a little crammed in the halls, especially where we have to be mindful and make sure that the pathways are open for handicap accessibility. We have to have handicap voting booths set up and a handicap accessible functioning machine for use. So we have to be aware of all of these requirements and make sure that they are in place and kind of work around them to make sure that the whole process works fine.
Any other questions for the town clerk?
I will say one thing based on a previous discussion, when you get into the GIS area, we do utilize it from time to time. For instance, when we did have to centralize the polling locations, I needed to contract with someone about a map to put on the website and have it displayed so people would understand the configuration. And coming into the end of this year in January, there will be redistricting and re-precincting issues based on the federal census 2010. So we will be facing the need for GIS assistance in that manner to get a town map produced that'll have new precinct lines and, a description and things like that.
We're not in any danger of having to go to a fifth precinct?
No, our figures came in underneath the requirement. 16,000, over 16,000 would have put us in that position. You cannot have more than 4,000 residents in any one precinct. So we are safe for that, for 10 years hopefully. And, we came in at 14,906, I think it was. And I'd like to point out that that figure that was based on the federal census is only 14 persons less than our town census on December 31.
Good.
I think that is remarkable. Last year we were within exactly 100 residents, which I thought was great. But this year to be within 14.
Yes, Barbara. So if we go over 16,000, we have to go to an additional precinct. But you also said that if we have to stay within 4,000 in a given district. So if one district had 4,300 people, we'd
Yes.
have to add another precinct. Is that how I'm
No,
understanding that?
we redraw the precinct lines now.
Okay.
That's our
Gotcha.
next step.
Okay.
And that's based on this. I'm already in touch with the redistricting committee on that, the re-precincting committee. So
Gotcha, okay.
it's all in process now. And we had a preliminary map that I viewed in February based on the figures from 2009, but those increased by about 400 with the conclusion of the federal census. So now I think there'll be some more tweaking to do, but it'll all keep it within the guidelines. And I'll be coming before this board to get those precinct lines approved sometime in the summer.
Thank you.
Steve, what about a revenue stream as far as passport photos and
Well,
things like that?
I think that you gentlemen received my memo about passport services, and that is a blow to many municipal clerk offices across the state. For the public, there will be a notice going in the paper shortly that the passport services have issued new regulations that prohibit municipal offices